Now, this one is interesting because if you don't change your behavior, then you never can truly... Hello, my love. Welcome back to Arouse for another episode. I am your host and personal life coach, Samantha Pop. Today, in the continuance of the Boost Your Confidence series, I am sharing 7 uncomfortable truths to accept in 2022. Are you ready? Because I'm ready to dive right in. Warning, the following presentation is intended for mature audiences. It includes stigma topics like sex, addictions, mental illness, adult dialogue, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. All right. This episode is really fascinating because I found this on Pinterest and I cannot figure out who actually came up with this. There was no handle attached to this picture, and I would love to give credit for whoever came up with this, but these 7 uncomfortable truths that we all need to accept in 2022 are some really important lessons that no one really teaches you growing up. And this is something that you don't really learn in school. They don't teach you shit like this. I've never learned anything like these 7 truths, anything like this, anything close to it in school, but I've learned it in the real world, whether it was through courses, through coaches, being coached. You learn this from other people in the real world and also learning your own lessons in the real world. The first one is, if you continue to wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. And I agree with this 110 fucking percent because you're never going to be ready. It doesn't matter if you're wanting to become a parent. You're never going to be ready to be a mom. Like, there's never one point where you're like, you know what? Now I'm ready to be a mom. You're never going to learn as much as you would like to be able to be a great parent. You're never going to be in the shape of your life that you want to be when you decide that you want to get pregnant. It happens when it happens. Similar to other parts where maybe you want to start your own business, you want to go back to school, other goals or aspirations that you have, and you're just like, oh, I'm not ready. I don't know if I'm ready. Or you think that you need to be ready in order to do something, you will be waiting the rest of your life. And it took me a long time to realize myself that I can't wait until I'm quote unquote ready for certain things because I will never be ready for that. You just have to decide that this is the time that I'm going to go after it. And I'm never going to truly be ready for whatever that life is going to throw me by doing this thing, but it's going to be an incredible journey. And I hope that's the way that you reframe that as well. Number 2 is feeling sad after making a decision doesn't mean it was the wrong decision. And I'm going to be honest, there have been times in my life where I have had to cut off toxic people, leave abusive relationships, and feeling sad, feeling upset, or some other negative emotion after this had happened, or maybe even questioning myself, regretting it, wondering if I made the right decision after thinking about it for days, weeks, maybe even months. And then finally deciding, no, this is something I need to do. But after you actually do it and feeling some sort of negative emotion attached to that doesn't always mean that it was the wrong decision. I've also felt this when I've cut out toxic people in my life, where sometimes it's been a more spur of the moment action. And then after cutting them off, blocking them on everything, wondering, did I make the right decision? Did I? Sam, did you make the right decision? Like, are we sure we don't want them in our life? Are we absolutely sure? And you question yourself. And maybe you even miss them a little bit. I know I felt that way. But you don't always have to feel this amazing euphoric feeling after making a right decision for yourself. It doesn't always work that way. And it's okay to also feel the loss or grief of losing someone by cutting them out of your life, like a toxic person, whether a friend, family member, a romantic partner. It's okay to feel sad or some other negative emotion attached to that decision, but it doesn't mean it's the wrong one. Number 3, what happened yesterday may not be your responsibility, but how you behave today is. This one is so important because we can look back on our past, but it's in the rearview mirror in the sense that we can't go back and change anything. You can't. As much as you would like to go back and change an action that you made, a decision or a thought, anything, you cannot change your past, but you can change the way that you feel in the present moment and how you're going to change yourself for the future. You can change a habit that you do on a regular basis into something healthier so that in the future you're going to turn into this different human than if you stayed with that old habit. And even if there was an event in your past that wasn't your fault, it wasn't your responsibility, it is your responsibility on how you behave today. And if you choose to heal from that or work on yourself from that past event, that's what your responsibility is. No, I never chose for one of my exes to rape me when I was 17, but it was my responsibility to heal from that. And it took me a long fucking time. But it was worth it. And if I didn't choose to heal from that and to hold a grudge and to feel sorry for myself and be a victim in my own circumstance and let that hold me back from everything, I would have never done so many things in my life. You can't let your past hold you back from the person that you are today and the person that you can be in the future, the person that you want to be. Number 4, a narcissist will tear you down and rebuild you in a way that is easier to control. Protect your boundaries at all costs. If you have never experienced a narcissist, whether you were dating them or you got really close to a narcissist, whether it was even a platonic friendship, they are very toxic people. They tear down your confidence and they do rebuild you in a way that has you in their control. I remember my one ex. I was not physically stuck and tied down to a bed in the house that we were living together, but mentally I was manipulated and controlled by him, so I felt like I couldn't leave. And that's one thing that if you've never been in an abusive relationship before, it's hard to understand and comprehend how someone gets to that point. But narcissists are very good at manipulating and controlling people and morphing you into this version that they want you to be. And so I've been there. I would try to put my boundaries out there and he would stomp all over them and pretty much tell me that my boundaries didn't exist. And he would gaslight me every time I put out a boundary. So this one is important. I love that at the end it says protect your boundaries at all costs, because if you don't have boundaries, narcissists, toxic and abusive people will take advantage of you. I have been there, done that, and I hope that you never experience that. So in order to avoid that, you need to stick to your boundaries so fucking hard. Even if people call you a bitch, a cunt, some sort of negative connotation of what a woman is when she puts up standards and boundaries for people to respect if they decide not to, you're the bad guy. But in reality, you're protecting yourself from people that would stomp all over your boundaries. But stick to them. No matter how hard someone tries, still stick to your boundaries. Number 5, if you learn to read books, you can be smart. If you learn to read yourself, you can be anything. And if you're wondering, Sam, I don't really know what this means, this can have several different meanings. One that really pops out to me is, of course, you can learn to read books and you can be book smart. You know, I know quite a few people in my life that are very book smart, but they're not street smart in the sense that they know themselves and they can see when maybe they're self-sabotaging or notice generational wounds that have passed down in their family and are continuing to pass down even through them, that they may even pass on into their current or future children. You really need to learn how to read yourself. Through my own journey of recovering from my eating disorder, leaving several toxic and abusive relationships, ignoring my issues with alcohol for years, and then slowly realizing, hey, I have a problem. That was me learning to read myself and learning that I had problems that I needed to work through. Obviously, my eating disorder and my abusive relationships that I was in were much more prominent to recognize than my issues with alcohol. If you haven't heard my episode about talking about my issues with self-medicating with alcohol, you can go back earlier in the podcast and find that episode. But it took me months and months and months to even realize that I was using alcohol to self-medicate and using it as an excuse almost. That was like, oh, I can have a drink. But in reality, I was using it to numb myself. Having that realization, having that self-awareness to realize, hey, you know what? I actually have a problem and I need to fix this. That's what the biggest deal is. I also did this about a year ago. I don't remember exactly when I decided to become a lot healthier and live a healthier lifestyle. I made the conscious decision that the habits that I had formed for myself weren't doing anything good for my health. I wasn't at a weight that I thought was healthy since I am so short. I'm 5'3". I always call myself an ankle biter, which I think is hilarious because I'm so short. And so I decided to make some lifestyle changes. And since then, not that I've weighed myself, but I have made several different picture comparisons on back right before I decided to get sober and not quite a year ago, probably about 10 months ago, and also seeing the change in how my body has been since I made the decision to, one, quit alcohol, and then later on to quit some very unhealthy habits and add some healthier ones in, how it has changed my body, how it has changed my health, and brought me back into the healthy lifestyle that I have been taught ever since I was a young girl. Number 6, changed behavior is the only real apology. And I love this because if you don't change your behavior, then how can you really apologize to someone? If you're going to repeat doing the same thing over and over and over again by also continuing to apologize every time that you do it, it doesn't make your apology worth anything. When you change your behavior and you don't do that anymore, then that does show that you are truly sorry. And I'm going to use a very common example here where a partner may cheat on their partner. And if they continue to cheat and they say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm never going to do it again, that there's no change behavior. Are they really sorry? I don't really believe that. But if you, I'm going to use the word repent, even though it's from the religion Christianity, but if you repent from your behavior and you change yourself and you never do it again, then that does show a real apology. And I know that's kind of an extreme example, but I hope you understand what I mean by that. Number 7, you have to stop prioritizing being loved by others over the love you have for yourself. And not that this is the most important, uncomfortable truth that you need to accept in 2022 if you have not already done this for yourself, but I think this one is definitely top 3 because if you only think that you need to get love from other people and that's going to make you happy, I'm here to tell you that that's not where it's at. You need to love yourself in order to live a happy life. If you believe that your happiness is going to come from other people loving and accepting you, I'm sorry to say that you're going to feel very empty. Because I have searched for love from family, friends, ex-partners, where I didn't love myself at the time, and I was expecting them to love me when I didn't truly love myself. I didn't love myself in all aspects. I didn't accept myself, flaws and everything. The parts of myself that I don't like, the parts of myself I do like, the parts that I admire. You do need to love and accept everything about you. I'm not saying you have to love everything about you because there are parts that you're not going to love and it's okay. But you do need to accept everything that you are. Do I love the fact that I'm 5'3"? No, I don't. That is a very simple answer to that in the sense, and maybe even quite superficial. I don't like being 5'3". I wish I was a little bit taller, but it is what it is. I can't change that. I'm a grown woman and I've grown as much as I will grow. And it's something that I just have to accept about myself. I don't like it. Also, I've never really been a fan of my index finger because it bends in a certain way. I don't love it, but I accept myself for it. These may seem like very superficial examples, but I'm giving you examples from my own life so that you can take them and hopefully spark something in your brain that is like, you know what, Sam's saying this about herself, but this is one thing about myself that I don't love, but I'm going to learn to accept it. And one way that you can eventually accept this one part of you or this part of you that you would love to accept about yourself is to say, you know what, I accept that I'm 5'3". I can't change that, but I accept that I'm 5'3" and I will be 5'3" forever. I also accept my weirdly shaped index finger. I don't love it, and that's okay, but I accept it and I accept myself. It can be that simple. Positive affirmations are this incredibly transformational and revolutionary concept that I really encourage you to try if you haven't already. I use this example a lot where I had a positive affirmation tattooed on my clavicle or my collarbone when I was 19 years old, and I'm now 26. And that has been huge in my transformation in my self-love story. Seeing that positive affirmation every single day after I got it was huge. There would be days where I would look at that and cry because I wanted it to be true and it wasn't true yet, but I knew it would be true in the future. And now being at 26, several years after I have worked through a lot of my issues and I do love and accept myself for everything that I am, I look back at this tattoo in the mirror every time I see it. And I look back and I think, what an incredible decision I made. I did not know what I was doing, but I had the belief that this positive affirmation was going to help me learn to love myself. And it was a big part of that. It wasn't the entire journey, but I do believe that positive affirmations are a huge part of your self-love journey, and they can have transformational effects for you. So as much as these 7 uncomfortable truths may have been very uncomfortable for you, I hope this episode served you in a way that was so beautiful, because I wish that someone told me these things a long time ago. I have learned quite a few of these just in the past 3-4 years, and I wish someone told me this when I was a preteen, a teenager. I wish someone told me these earlier. But it is also never too late. Even if you were older than me and you're thinking, damn, Sam's 26 and I'm entered this amount of age, it doesn't matter. It's never too late to work on yourself, to learn new things and to become a better you. It's never too late. If you loved today's episode, please let me know by taking a screenshot, tagging me on social media at The Soulful Body Co., or you can leave me a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. I would love to get your feedback on today's episode, or if there's an episode idea that you would love for me to cover later on in the series. Make sure to check out all my freebies and my incredible ebooks, courses, and coaching programs if you need more support in your journey. Other than that, I will see you in the next episode. I love you so much.